your name?
My name is Sakshi.
Surjeet.
Varshita.
Mukshada.
Apurv. Shinde Teja.
Anurita.
Sunana.
Have you heard about the word mindfulness?
Not much. Probably it would be like more of knowing your own self
Okay.
in a better way, like in more like what you think of your own self.
Okay.
Maybe.
And what do you think? What is mindfulness?
I'll think that my definition would be being weird and accepting all your flaws and all the things and still doing all those weird things and doesn't care what the world thinks of you.
I think being present while doing something.
Okay.
I didn't think about mindfulness that much.
Okay.
I think living in the present moment without being bothered by by the past, by other thoughts.
Okay.
Just being here.
I think here and now.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
It's basically anything you do. You know how in a fast-paced world, people might just like go with the flow, not take care of themselves, and just do what they're asked to do or do what they can do and not what they want to do. So being mindful is basically you consciously make choices and you consciously like choose to do things that also cater to your wants and cater to, you know, how you want to live your life and not just go with the, like, say, the corporate flow or just the, I don't know, capitalistic flow, whatever. Like, you get the point, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just not go with how the city wants you to move, but also like consciously decide how you want your life to be, and also do it in a very healthy way, mentally and physically, emotionally. So that's mindfulness.
So do you practice mindfulness?
I don't think I do. Try to. It's very hard. But there.
I actually do try. For example, say I'm in a lot of committees in college, so you know there might be this notion that you're expected to do committee work all the time. I make sure I tell them I'm not going to go home and do it for them, because in my head, say this time is reserved for me time, and I'm not going to sit I'm not going to sit at home and make these designs and like whatever for you. And also mindfulness would also be for example, there are certain habits that I had that were really bad, so you have to really like sit down, think about your own habits and then try to build on it. So for example, I used to think bathing is a chore because I mean I hate bathing. I used to hate bathing.
I think almost all of us at some point.
Exactly, because it's so many, like for girls at least, it's so many steps. It's like, I don't know, like even if you don't want to have those steps, somewhere you have to have those steps. So I never used to consciously, and somewhere I read a research where I would use that research to kind of justify why I don't like bathing every day. Where it was US based that, you know, you don't have to bathe daily because it's bad for your skin. But in the Indian context, it's not true. You have to bathe with such pollution, such, you know, dust pollution, everything. So then then I decided that, of course, if I'm getting these conditions, that vagera, it's definitely because I'm not being mindful about how, you know, I want to like just be hygienic or whatever. So I actually had to take that. Firstly, I had to admit that I'm like wrong in doing what I'm doing right now because of some research and trying to justify my habits. And then I had to like start dheere building like, okay, I'll do this on this day, I'll just do this, and on Sunday I'll take a what is it called, like a everything shower where you like do everything. And another way could be probably I make sure I don't waste holidays. You know, our generation can either tend to be very lazy or really misled as to what fun is. So I make sure I don't waste holidays. I'll pull her every day out and I'll be like, no, today we are doing this. If there's a public holiday, if there's a Saturday, if we get time, if there's something really good happening, we've never tried it before, then we'll go for it. So we are cafe hopping for the first time.
Wonderful.
And so yeah, there are like just certain things, because when you realize you have only itna time left, not left, but itna only time to enjoy. I mean, you realize I am turning 20 this year and then I'll miss my teens. And I'm not saying I'm like running towards like not living in the moment and I'm running towards some end and not enjoying the means. But that's the whole point. Like I want to be in the moment, not waste the time that we have right now and just enjoy as much as we can. So that's also it, to some extent, mindfulness, that you want to take that conscious step towards doing something.
And what do you think are the challenges for you to not be able to practice mindfulness?
The mind, actually, it runs faster than any machine, and
Not being able to manage my things actually,
Okay.
because it's very chaotic when a lot of things usually come together. I procrastinate a lot, and
Okay.
that's very challenging.
Okay. Let me ask you, do you struggle to control your mind?
yes, to keep it in one place. So there'll be traces where I'll be feeling very connected to the present moment, but then, of course, the mind goes somewhere within seconds.
But what if I told you that instead of controlling your mind, you have to train your mind? Would you agree with that?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you think a mindfulness coach can help you in this?
Maybe.
So I'm a mindfulness coach. If you all had to ask me one question, what would that be?
I think your perspective towards mindfulness first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what mindfulness actually is. It means that you are in the present moment and you are having a non-judgmental awareness. Say for example, now there are cars passing by, right? There's a traffic. I am aware of it, but I'm getting irritated by it. But can I do anything about it? No. So I am just being non-judgmental, being aware that ठीक है traffic है, there's nothing I can do about it except for waiting.
Right.
So that will help me to not get angry, to not spoil my mood, to not spoil my afternoon. So you see the chain effect. So now say for example, if I'm with you girls, I'm getting angry. Probably I might lash out to you all in some way or the other, right?
But it's easier when you don't know the things, no? Because there's no history. Now to let go of something with the same person, maybe the fifth time, you would lash out because you've set expectations in the past.
Yeah.
So I think moving past those expectations,
That's, I think, one of the most common issues most of us face, especially with people, we are living day in and day out. That's where we need to understand the workings of our mind. कि अगर हमें issues हैं, हमने expectations रखी हैं, तो is it only because of the opposite person or there's some conditioning we are holding? So is it actually that so is it that the opposite person has to change or is it that I also need to change in some way?
right.
Because ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती और
But
change
I
भी
feel
एक हाथ
like
से
there
नहीं
are
होता
these
है.
bursts of rage or judgment that comes, and then you have all this understanding later, maybe
Yeah.
10 minutes later.
Yeah.
But
That's
I would
because we
love
are
to
not
do
being
a
aware.
technique where you can do something at that minute,
So I'll tell you the biggest advantage of regular practice of mindfulness is it increases your self-awareness. And once you are aware about yourself, all these things जो हम बात कर रहे हैं उसका जो impact है ना either वो चला जाएगा या तो वो कम हो जाएगा. Because today the main problem is we are not aware of what we want, what we like, what we don't like, or whatever we think we like or we know is conditioned by the society. So हमें ही नहीं पता है और हम सामने वाले के ऊपर डालते हैं. So that causes a lot of rift and expectations, right? So that's why mindfulness का सबसे बड़ा benefit है that it helps you to be self-aware. And once you are self-aware, then things start changing. If you had to ask me a question, what would that be?
Yeah, so how do you train or your mind, or how do you become self-aware? Because if I have to say, yeah, I know myself pretty well, I will obviously say that. Everybody does say that. So then how do you, what are the steps to become, self-aware?
So, okay, so we spoke about mindfulness being aware in the present moment. So, आप जो भी कर रहे हो in the present moment, you have to be aware whether you are eating, whether you are drinking, whether you are walking, shopping, talking, whatever it is that you are doing, right? Once you, that's how you start becoming self-aware. क्योंकि हम जब भी ये सब activities करते हैं अपनी everyday life में, we also go through feelings and emotions. Because हम सुबह जिस feeling में होते हैं, रात को उस feeling में हो, it's not necessary. We go through a series of emotions, right? Once you start being aware of all the small activities that you're doing, you'll start to observe the feelings that you're feeling when you're doing those things, right? That will help you to be self-aware, which will help you. And this is all that is called training your mind.
makes sense.
Yeah. And what do you think about the word self-love? Because self-love is the word that's, that's being used everywhere. So what do you think self-love is?
Doing something out of the box just to know about what are the things you can also do. Like we are normally doing, I'll do this thing, but there are some other things it's like, no, that is not my kind of a thing, but still trying to do it just for a experience, but at least trying and getting a new experience and adding it to your own self. Maybe it benefits sometimes someone extra something.
Okay. And what do you think self-love is?
Putting yourself first rather than putting someone else.
Okay.
Keeping yourself to your priority, because that's what is most important currently.
I mean, it should be necessary in some times, but again, self-criticism is also necessary, so you need to balance both of them equally.
Self-love is about like accepting ourselves. Like, what are we? How are we? Like, suppose I'm getting bald after some time, so I'll not wear a wig. Like, I'm accepting myself. Like, yeah, this is where I am. I'll do whatever I want.
Okay. And what do you think self-love?
Self-love, giving yourself time.
Okay.
Not being too hard on myself, I would call that self-love.
I would start with love, I think. If you can accept everybody and everything, you can accept yourself as well.
But can I say that if I accept myself, then I can accept everybody else?
Yeah, so it is just love, no then? That being in a state of love. I think that love is a state of
What is love?
being. It's a state of being.
Yes, definitely. I love planning and I plan a lot. And sometimes it can be bad because I plan a lot of things in a day and then we get tired. And sometimes we miss the bus also. But I really do like planning things out that are really not, trendy per se. And another thing that I do is I'm off social media because I made that conscious decision. There's a whole another speech I can give on that, but I left social media. And it's been, I think, it's going to be a year this July since I left it, because of course for us it's too much. It's just almost a part of our lives now, and I didn't want that happening in my life, so I also left that, and that was also a mindful decision I made.
So tell me a little about this.
One
Or tell me the benefits of not being on social media for the almost 1
we were
year.
actually discussing the cons of it just before this.
Okay, you can say the pros and the cons both.
Cons was that because our generation it's the communication medium for most of our friends. They, even if they have your number, they will text you on Instagram or only Instagram or Snapchat, because they expect you to be online there all the time. And I missed out on a really, really grand birthday invitation because I was off Insta. Out on that's a con, but then again, she could have texted me on WhatsApp. It's not like she doesn't have my number. Pros are many. One main thing, the underlying basis of going off Insta was that why should we consume so much of somebody else's life? And even the many people accept follow requests just because they have mutuals, or just because somehow you remotely met each other, but that doesn't mean that they are your friends. Or that, okay, from one angle it could be getting to know how different people live their lives and all, but that's not the case with everyone. People just, sometimes they just live for social media. They will click pictures only for social media. They will do this only for social media, and somewhere even I was doing that. And I didn't want to do that. So that was one of the underlying basis.
So you were being mindful.
Yeah, I just didn't want that to be life. And I've also started deleting all these extra selfies or anything that we used to take from all the way from 2019. So there are many other reasons for that as well, like carbon footprint and vagera, but also because I don't need them. I have never seen them again after clicking them. I don't need them. And many a times you only do it because Instagram pe bore ho rahe hain, to feel let's just take a filter wali selfie or something. And there's absolutely no reason for anybody to be so into somebody else's life that you have the choice of muting their stories or muting their posts. Just don't follow them, or just don't, why should you? I mean, you can show your good parts, but that's all people usually show. Nobody shows bad parts. If they do, then they are called attention seekers or sympathy seekers, even though they are not trying to. But even otherwise, there's literally zero reason for somebody to know everything you're doing. And I don't know, this movie came out, right? This Kho Gaye Hum Kahan by Zoya Akhtar.
Yes.
And that movie came out, I'm like, she stole my not my idea or anything, but the reason I went off social media. There's literally absolutely no reason for social media to dictate your life.
Would you recommend people to go off social media or take social media breaks or detox?
Honestly, yeah, many people do that, but they do it out of some people do it out of attention seeking only. I'm going off Insta, so people will text me, why are you going off Insta, and all of that, and then they'll come back only to be like, no, it's nothing, and then they'll go on ranting about why they went off Insta. But actually, if you mindfully go off Insta, it's actually a good thing. I have, and I'm not denying that I still went back on Insta to scroll reels. It's like integrated in our generation to waste time and like mindlessly scroll. But it's obviously reduced. It reduced, and I obviously knew that what I'm doing is obviously against what I decided to do. And I've like, for now, it's just like 1 year ke liye I'll go off and then see what happens. And I gave myself 3 strikes. Like, okay, because I'm human, I will go back to something that, like, is so ingrained in our, like, I'm saying generation again and again because, like, it's majorly us who, like, just go. The first thing we'll go to is Insta in the morning. Exactly. So it's very ingrained to us because our generation is where it boomed, where it started with. I've been on Insta since when, like 5th grade, which is too early for a kid as well. And there's so many other bad things and other like things also that you
There's
get.
a lot of information
Exactly.
which should be consumed at an early
And then there's the information overload. There's no reason for somebody to know everything happening around the world. Yes, you should be aware, but to be subjected to having an opinion on everything, to be subjected to having like, like, you know how parents usually say this and we usually ignore it कि हमारा ज़माना थोड़ा तुम लोगों से happy रहता था because we were not so much into other people's life. We knew how to live because we were living our lives in the moment. So that's what social media snatches away.
And do you all struggle to practice self-love?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. I do.
I do all the weird things.
Oh, that's
and I really
amazing.
don't care what people would think. And I just like, but earlier I used to think that what would they think about me or something. Then I find this person, and now I don't care. Like, she accepts me with all my flaws, so I do all the weird.
That's amazing. So since how long do you girls know each other?
11 years.
11. Yeah, 10 to 11.
And what is this challenge that you face while practicing self-love?
For me, sometimes it's okay. Like, I accept myself with BM. The moment some judgments hits you to a rock bottom, you think, and then you doubt your own self. That should not be the case, but it happens.
Judgment, I think over expectations from self happens.
Yeah. Being too hard and punishing ourselves for not living up to our own expectations.
Yes.
And would you want to change that?
Definitely.
How do you take care of your mental health? Or do you? Let me rephrase. Do you take care of your mental health?
No, not specifically.
No, I just take breaks, but if that counts, break from work, inculcating hobbies and develop those, but yeah, nothing specific.
Usually playing games or doing sketches or going for a run.
Okay. And what about you?
I mean, being a game designer, I only play games. I hear a lot of music, so I guess it's necessary to like do all these things to keep your mind in check.
Okay.
Like going with friends.
I do what I love the most. Like, I start reading books or sometimes go to some alone place, most probably, and do all the things which I love, which makes me happy or gives me peace. I'll probably do that things.
For me, it's like reading books here, because books were my first friends. But nowadays, I try catching up with people, because that's what keeps me out of the situation. People help me out.
If you had to give one tip to those who are going to watch the video later, how they should take care of their mental health, what would that be?
Maybe writing down your thoughts.
Okay.
Just drop the idea of what people would think about you.
That's amazing.
And always go run to your best friend who is there for you. Doesn't matter whether they are in any situation or not. Just go run to them and just hug them. It will be just peace.
And what's your suggestion?
Love your own self, probably, because putting your own self in to a topmost priority is what helps you out.
Doing what you love every day, like depends on what do you love, but you should do a little bit of everything every day, so that like kind of balances it out.
Okay.
If you do like the same thing you do every day, then you'll get like stressed and it's not gonna work.
I don't have any idea about it. I'll let it go, however it is going.
I don't know. Firstly, it's basically talking. She's technically my best friend, and I still took 6 years to talk to her about my mental health.
Okay. So
That
you're saying
also was,
just
like,
talk
last year.
about your
Yeah,
mental
that
health.
is the first thing. Many people don't talk, and I know it's very easy to say talk, but then there's also that angle of the person, the friend should also be actively asking. If they see something's off, ask. Many people don't ask. They just keep saying, you can talk to me whenever you want. You can talk to me. I'm there for you. You can just come to me. I'm a friend. I'll lend you a ear, like, you know, when you need one. But obviously somebody is not going to like just open up to you that easily when something that bad happens. Even if you have the best of like bonds with those people, they might just not open up. So there's also that active asking that needs to be there. And second is go off social media. Don't make it your life. Like I'm going to go back on Insta, but I am going to consciously first of all unfollow a lot of. I actually don't follow people I don't want to follow. I'm going to remove people that I don't want seeing my life. Just because we have mutuals doesn't give you a right to see my life. And I accepted their follow requests because I was under the influence of, you know, the norm and everything. But I want to, like, if I'm using social media, I just want to show my 4 friends what I'm doing. That's it. And that also not because I want to show off or I'm taking pictures only for social media, but because I'm just I just want to show that this happened today. You can text it. You can text them and say this. Our parents used to call them and like say कि आज मैंने ये किया, चलो ये करते हैं. Or that also they didn't used to do. But you know, just use social media for just like sharing stuff, and even the bad stuff, not the good stuff only. Like you cried because something fell on your toe, just say it. It's okay.
To like do all these things to keep your mind in check.
Like going with friends, bullying them.
Do you think you can change the way you take care of your mental health?
Definitely.
How?
Many ways.
Like what?
Therapy, spirituality.
And what's stopping you?
What's stopping us? Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I know. Yes, I know that.
Yeah, the answers, yeah, we have.
So that's mindfulness in my.
And how do you practice mindfulness?
Good question.
But don't you think going into the unknown will reveal a multitude of opportunities which might change your life?
Absolutely.
So is that not enticing enough?
Yeah, it is enticing. But
Enough. Yeah.
Is it enough?
I'm not sure about